Happy holidays, you magnificent clusters of stardust. Welcome back. I hope your eggnog is spiked heavily enough to numb the pain of family political debates and that your festive lights aren't currently short-circuiting your house. I'm your host, currently recording this while wrapped in a weighted blanket that is physically struggling to contain my holiday-themed existential dread. Since it's the season of giving, I've decided to give you exactly what you didn't ask for. A deep dive into the crumbling architecture of global freedom. Because, nothing says Merry Christmas like talking about how the world's most charmingly terrifying autocrats are forming a supergroup like some kind of dystopian Justice League. So let's talk about Autocracy, Inc. Remember the good old days? Back when dictators were lone wolves, just one guy in a fancy uniform, living in a gold palace, maybe occasionally banning a specific type of fruit. It was simple. It was artisanal. It was local. Well, the nerds in the authoritarian world have optimized. They've moved to the cloud.
Yeah, what we're seeing now is a total upgrade. It's a global franchise model, basically the McDonald's of oppression. Researchers and journalists are sounding the alarm on this whole global network of illiberal parties and autocrats who are collabing like TikTok influencers, but instead of dance trends, they're sharing tips on how to dismantle the free press.
I mean, just look at the difference. We've gone from that isolated strongman, the lone wolf you see there on the left, to this highly efficient, networked business on the right. And the crazy thing is, they don't even have to like each other. You've got a communist, a religious hardliner, a nationalist, but they all share a common hobby: making sure democracy looks like a broken 404 error page. It's like a group chat where the only rule is, whatever happens, nobody gets to vote us out.
And this isn't some fringe movement we're talking about. Just get a load of this. More than 70% of the world's population now lives under a government that's on the authoritarian spectrum. Let that sink in for a second. And that includes countries that still hold elections, by the way, but where the democratic process is just being systematically hollowed out. This is the new majority, and honestly, that's a pretty chilling reality.
Plus, they have the money to back it all up. Back in 1992, autocracies accounted for about a quarter of global GDP. Fast forward 30 years to 2022, and that number has almost doubled to 46%. So this isn't just a political shift, it's a massive economic one. Their ability to fund this global network has absolutely exploded.
And they are absolutely using that power to coordinate. The Authoritarian Collaboration Index tracked over 45,000 high-level meetings and other incidents of coordination in 2024 alone. 45,000. It's honestly insulting that they're better at networking than I am. So what exactly are they talking about in all these meetings?
Well, it's time to look at the playbook. Let's dig into the actual products and services they're sharing in this global illiberal group chat. It really breaks down into four main areas. First, they throw each other economic lifelines to survive things like sanctions. Then, they share military and surveillance technology. They also provide diplomatic cover for each other on the world stage. And finally, they weave this incredibly complex web of financial entanglement to fund all their operations. Okay, let's get specific. On the economic and military front, they offer aid to sanctioned states like Russia and Iran, which keeps them afloat when the West tries to apply pressure. They sell each other game-changing military tech, like Turkey's famous Bayraktar drones, and they share the latest surveillance software to keep their own populations in check. This is exactly how they bypass traditional power structures and sanctions. And it's not just about hardware. Diplomatically, as you can see, China and Russia use their UN veto power to shield their friends from any kind of accountability. But financially, it gets even murkier. We're talking about massive schemes like Azerbaijan's multi-billion-dollar laundromat used to bribe European officials, or a Hungarian bank tied to Viktor Orban giving a multi-million-dollar loan to Spain's far-right Vox party.
This quote from Foreign Affairs really just gets to the heart of it all. Criminal networks are often integral to authoritarian collaborations. This isn't just politics as usual, it's organized crime on a global scale. They're laundering money, bribing officials, and entrenching their power through totally illicit means.
Okay, before we continue our descent into the geopolitical abyss, a quick word from our non-existent sponsors. If you want to support this show and ensure I can continue to afford the premium tinfoil for my hat, please subscribe. Leave a review on your platform of choice. Tell the algorithm that while democracy might be flickering, my engagement metrics should be soaring. If you leave a 5-star review, I'll assume you're a freedom-loving hero. If you leave 4 stars, I'll assume you're an undercover agent for an illiberal regime trying to suppress my reach. Don't be a statist. Hit the button.
All right, break's over. Let's talk about how Autocracy Inc. handles its PR. How does it win hearts and minds? Or, more accurately, how does it confuse them into just giving up?
Their primary weapon is, of course, disinformation. And the goal here isn't what you might think. They aren't trying to convince you their system is better. No, they're trying to convince you that democracy is a sham, a lie, a broken 404 error page. The real goal is to erode trust until nothing feels true anymore.
And they are ruthlessly imaginative with this stuff. Russia ran an operation called Doppelganger, where they created perfect clones of major European news sites to push their narratives. In France, Russian-linked actors literally left coffins at the Eiffel Tower to stir up anger over Ukraine. And meanwhile, China runs these training programs for African officials, teaching them how to get things done without the messiness of democracy.
Ultimately, what all these campaigns do is blur the lines. They cleverly mix legitimate conservative discourse with outright lies, which makes authoritarian messaging seem more palatable, more mainstream. They want to make the iron fist look like a reasonable alternative to the open hand.
So the big question is, why is this hostile takeover working? Well, a huge part of the answer lies not just in their strength, but in the weakness of the competition.
This quote from a Foreign Affairs article just absolutely nails it. Democrats are playing by the rules of a game that no longer exists. While one side is engaged in this coordinated criminal information warfare enterprise, the other side is still, well, they're still drafting strongly worded letters.
Think about it. The pro-democracy narrative has gone pretty stale. Diplomacy has become cautious and reactive. The funding for the very groups that fight for democracy on the ground is actually drying up, and big events like the Summit for Democracy just land with a thud, generating zero public excitement. Democratic nations are issuing sterile communiques while their opponents are out there launching meme campaigns and funding coups.
So, what's the takeaway here? The world isn't just drifting toward autocracy. It's being steered there by a highly coordinated board of directors who realize that if they all stick together, the rules-based international order is basically just a polite suggestion they can ignore.
They've turned statecraft into a pyramid scheme, really. All the benefits flow up to the leaders at the top, while all the risks and consequences are pushed down onto everyone else.
And the worst part? They're better at the internet than the people who invented it. They've weaponized the very tools of openness and connection to sow division and confusion. But hey, it's Christmas. Don't let the coordinated dismantling of global norms ruin your ham. It does, however, lead to one very important question.
And I'll leave you with this to ponder over your holiday leftovers. If Autocracy Inc. has a clear, ruthless, and very well-funded global business plan, what's democracy's? What's the counteroffer? This explainer was produced by the magnificent, the invariant, the truly democratic FireflyHaku. They are the check and balance to my executive overreach. Without them, this show would be a one-man dictatorship of silence. Thank you, FireflyHaku, and thank you for listening. I hope your holiday season is filled with genuine joy, zero surveillance, and friends who are actually loyal, unlike a mercenary autocrat. May your batteries be charged and your civil liberties remain uninfringed. Have a very Merry Christmas and a reasonably stable New Year.